Hello class, my name is Alexis Kelly, and my presentation this week will be on the importance of forensic photography and death investigations. In this presentation, I will cover what forensic photography is and why it is important to death investigations. I will share my experiences working in a forensic photography class and discuss real-life cases where forensic photography was vital. I will also briefly cover the different types of forensic photography and different ways that they can be used in crime scenes. The first thing to cover is to explain what exactly forensic photography is. Forensic photography, in short, is a way for investigators to visually document a crime scene in a way that they experienced it firsthand. This allows there to be a permanent record frozen in time. This permanent visual documentation is important for investigators to be able to look back on and piece together the crime scene afterwards. It is also important for attorneys to be able to look at for court cases and use them as proof. With investigators, these photographs can show the way that blood was spattered against a wall. It can show where specific pieces of evidence were placed. It can show the position of bodies, and it can show disappearing evidence such as footprints, fingerprints, and bodily fluids. Forensic photographers are highly trained, and not just anyone can pick up a camera and take a photograph. It takes time to learn how the camera works, to learn which settings work for specific scenes, to learn how to place markers, to learn the patience of photography, and to how to know what to look for while taking photographs. As stated previously, forensic photography is extremely important in all investigations, particularly in time-sensitive investigations such as death investigations. With death investigations, you cannot keep a body in the same place too long without it changing, and you cannot keep certain evidence from altering how it originally appeared. Evidence such as blood spatter will change due to gravity. If the scene is outside, insects will come to the body. Chemical changes in the body will change how it originally appeared, and many other things. With forensic photography, a photographer can freeze and capture these moments in time as quickly as possible while also treating the scene with the respect that it deserves and ensuring that all evidence is captured. In death investigations, it is also important to make sure that the scene is represented as truly and accurately as possible for court so that the person convicted is charged appropriately and the individual who lost their life has the justice and peace that they deserve. Forensic photography can become extremely complex, and there are many different uses and areas. The most basic forms of forensic photography are without a scale and without a marker, with a marker and without a scale, and with a scale. The first allows for investigators to get a clear idea of the image alone and to be able to piece together what the object looked like in the setting without other objects in the way. The second allows for investigators to be able to identify the object in their database and to ensure the chain of custody of evidence is kept. The last allows for investigators to gain knowledge of the scale of the object in its natural environment and to compare it to other objects. It is important that multiple scales are used to accurately depict the size of the object. To show the importance of crime scene photography on a personal level, I wanted to share my experience in a class that I took and to share photographs taken during the class. In this example, I created a mock crime scene to mimic the appearance of a car accident where an individual was struck by the front of the car. I took photographs of the street to ensure that the location was documented, and I took photographs of the car from many different angles so that it was known which direction it was parked in. Both of these photographs also allow for investigators to see the level of visible light at the time of the accident. The next photograph shown is of blood on the concrete in front of the car to show the blood spatter that may have been created in real-life scenarios. This was created using fake blood. The next photograph shows a glass bottle used to mimic the appearance that the driver was under the influence during the accident. The last photo on the slide shows blood spatter on the car itself, which shows that the individual was struck, where they were struck, and the impact of the accident. The next photograph was taken outside of the car and through the windshield to show the tint of the front of the windshield and document that there was a crack on the windshield. This showed further impact and possible visibility issues while driving. The next photograph was of the Ziploc bag that contained supplements being used in place for narcotics for further charges. The last photograph shows blood spatter on the concrete with a scale. While this class was extremely useful while learning how to take photographs and understanding the art of forensic photography, it is also important to study actual cases where photographs are used or misused. One case where photography was extremely important for the documentation of evidence and eventual conviction was the case of the Menendez brothers. In this investigation, evidence markers were used for every potential piece of evidence to ensure proper documentation of the scene and reconstruction later on. One case where photography ruined the credibility of the investigation was the case of O.J. Simpson, where it is documented that officers were not using gloves while handling evidence, moved evidence, and did not handle the body with care. To reiterate, forensic photography is the visual documentation of evidence that is used to create a permanent record of a crime scene as investigators as they are seeing it. Training for this job is required, such as being certified in crime scene investigation, having training to work the specific camera, and knowing what to look for. The importance of crime scene photography is to ensure that all evidence is captured and frozen in time to the best of the photographer's abilities. It is to capture all the details of a scene, even the smallest ones. The photographs can be used by investigators for reconstruction, but also in court. In court, they would be used to show what took place to a jury and to attempt to prove or disprove theories. Overall, crime scene photography is extremely important for the security, integrity, and knowledge of crime scene investigators. These are my resources, and thank you.